Well, there's been much talk about the Expo so far. The buzz in the city is still absolutely humming, and I'm sure you're all longing to hear from the panelists today about how Expo was won and what it will mean for Dubai going forward, especially since we have His Excellency Hilal Amarai, who is on the Expo 2020 Higher Committee, and both Boutros and Salah representing key partners in the bid. So we will, of course, come on to that later in the discussions. But I'd like to begin, gentlemen, by going back a little bit in time. As we know, the United Arab Emirates is a very young country. We've just celebrated 42 years of history. And yet, in a very short space of time, the Emirate of Dubai has really put itself on the map through the use of events as a key part of its history and strategy, really in the DNA of the culture here. And I wonder if we can start, Hilal, by talking a little bit about His Highness Sheikh Mohammed's strategy back in the 1990s, the Destination Dubai, where there was a real push to put Dubai on the map, and how things like the shopping festival back some time ago kick-started the Dubai we see today.
As many of the people here know, Dubai has had a long history of events, and we have numerous global events which take place every year. One of the largest of these is the shopping festival, and the shopping festival next year, 2015, will be the 20th year of the shopping festival. And we have, since inception to date, we've welcomed around 47 million people to visit the shopping festival, and it's been, in terms of events, one of the most successful in the world in attracting large numbers of international visitors year on year. And from an economic impact perspective, of course, the sustainability of the event and the growth of the event year on year has also returned a lot to the city. I think this tradition of hosting large-scale events has been amplified of late with things like the Dubai World Cup, many of the exhibitions and conferences, and also the summer festival we have. And Dubai will continue hosting major events, and will continue to grow and enhance its current events to ensure that the events play a major role, both in the enjoyment of the people in the city, but also in attracting more and more tourism.
With something like the Dubai Festivals that's been going so long, how do you keep it fresh going forward? Is that something that you look at periodically? Is it something, as you look to the future now, you're working at and elaborating?
I mean, I think everybody realizes that each event has its own DNA, and each event has its own points of attraction to the visitor to the event. What we do is, within the Department of Tourism, we look at the events we have in the annual calendar, and these are events which are either hosted by us as a city or run by us or one of the many entities within the city. And we work with the organizers very, very carefully to ensure that there is the right analysis. So, a lot of surveys happen during these events. We look at what worked, what didn't work so well. We also look at what is driving spend as well, because of course you can have an event, but if it's not sustainable and the event itself doesn't grow to be, if you like, self-funding, then it'll never continue for such a long time. And what you find is events, it's not about reinventing the event every year, it's about enhancing the experience of the visitors every year. And as long as you keep that sort of, if you like, rigor in the way it's approached, events do get bigger and better. I mean, you can see most events we've had so far in the calendar in 2013, whether they're business-to-business events or business-to-consumer or even launch events, they've all broken our own records in terms of size, in terms of scale, in terms of spend. So I think it's looking very, very positive indeed.
Is what you've done this year with the Motorsport Festival a good example of how you've added new elements? You had almost a record-breaking cavalcade of cars through the city just a few weeks ago. Tell us a bit how you evolved that event and where you might want to take it in the future.
I mean, there were two launch events in September and October, and that was Dubai Music Week and also Dubai Motor Festival. Usually when we start events, we don't, in the first year, we don't look at them attracting a major amount of international traffic because the event itself needs to be established first and you need to see what works and doesn't work. Both those events were extremely successful as a launch event. We had, I think we, if my numbers are correct, we only needed a handful more brands to be to break world records in terms of car parades, and it's unbelievable the amount of enthusiasm we received from the public around the motor festival. And the other thing was the music festival, and music festivals are slightly different to your typical concert where there are workshops, there are seminars, meeting the stars and all this type of thing. And it was quite astounding the amount of people that turned up and actually participated in these type of events. And I think that as the events grow here, they grow very quickly in line with the growth of Dubai, and quite quickly more and more people look to get engaged in the events. So the good thing is, if we continue to develop this strong partnership between the public and private sector, I can see Dubai being one of the most, well, it already is, I would say, one of the most, but we're leaning towards being the most successful city in the world in the events industry.
Boutros Halal's already given us a flavour of the breadth of events that already happen here, not just sporting, cultural and other. As Emirates, you've been a key driver in that over the years. You've just had the 44th edition of the Rugby Sevens. Tell us a bit about the history of some of these events that you host in Dubai before maybe we talk about ones that you take around the world.
Actually, our involvement in events in Dubai itself, it started from day one of starts of Emirates, and one of the key reasons for creating Emirates was to service Dubai to become what it is today and what it's coming to be in the future. And Emirates has been since day one part of the what you can say Dubai's texture. So the Rugby 7, it existed, but it existed all the time, as a purely expat event, done and organized by events on a really local level. And when we took it over, one of the things which is His Highness Sheikh Ahmed wanted us to do always is to cater for expats and to cater for their need, because at the end of the day, the aim of Dubai was to attract good expats to work and help with the economy and help with the growth of Dubai where it is. And our help wasn't only in the Rugby 7, in, let's say, private schools, into all sort of complementing services to make Dubai a real attractive place. So we took the Rugby 7, we organized it probably for 8-9 years, and at that time even UAE Rugby Association didn't exist. So we built up the relationship directly with IRB, and which is International Rugby Bureau. And through the year, we managed to put it on the World Cup calendar. And every time the Rugby Bureau came here, they added a lot of value for us. They used to be a Gulf Rugby Union, and we used to liaise with them directly to help us into acquiring teams and to get like the official status. And we managed, I think 5-6 years ago, to host the Rugby 7s World Cup. So we really, Emirates Airline and Dubai, of course, played a big role in terms of improving and pushing the Rugby 7 as a sport, and in the meantime established Dubai's 7 as the best Rugby 7 in the world now. So it's like it attracted, our capacity is to have 42,000 people per day, and I'm happy to say and proud to say this 42,000 people, they come, this is our full capacity, and all of them, they pay entry fees. And if you see the environment and the atmosphere during the 7s, it's a really, truly global event, and we really were proud to be part of it.
Your portfolio is very widespread. Rugby 7s on one hand, literary festivals on the other. Talk to us, do you have is that a strategic decision? Has it been over the years to go into different sectors, spread across the events?
No. Our strategy really, we have a global strategy which is focused on mainly sports. But of course, the local strategy is focused on the community. And for the reasons I spoke about earlier, we look at areas where it needs development, where at areas where there is a small gap. Sports in UAE is very well established. You have all the soccer association, you have now the sports council, so they have the people, the right people to look after it and develop it. Arts and music, it's an area where it needs money, and it doesn't generate money like sports. So when Hilal approached us last year for the music festival, it was music to my ears, because he knew I've been preaching for it for 4 years, and we supported immediately. Literature festival as well, 5 years ago when we were approached with the idea, we ran and supported, and we knew literature festival will never make money. It will never be a profitable event. And in the meantime, Dubai government, they made it clear to everybody, it has to be self-sufficient event if you want an event. And the principle is very clear. If people want something, they have to pay for it. And the literature festival from the first year, then it became successful, not because only we were behind it, because everybody was behind it. Everybody knew it's needed. Last year we had around 16,000 people who attended all the sessions of the literature festival and paid entry as well. So now it becomes a self-sufficient event financially, and it became probably the second biggest in the world. And within a few years, and this is always thanks to Dubai and UAE for the infrastructure they provide. And one thing Right Honorable, she mentioned about government departments. And I would like to say the beauty of UAE, government departments are blessing. They are not, they don't slow down things. The government department in general here in UAE, they help, and everybody behind an event. And you look at the Expo 2020, it was like a big example of not only UAE government departments, UAE private sector. And I never seen in any country, we've been like flying around for the last 25 years, attending events, tens and hundreds of events. I never seen such a collective effort behind one event. And I always had no doubt that Dubai will win it, because everybody was behind it. No obstacles, everybody supported, private sector were behind it completely, and really the return was like zero to anybody. Nobody knows what's return, but people behind it because they believe in Dubai, and they believe Dubai is for everybody, not only for UAE nationals.
I'd like to explore that in due course, that public-private partnership, but from what you're telling us, is this a learning that other emerging host cities could take? Is it a lesson that you're explaining to use events for a lot of grassroots community engagement? That's what I'm understanding from your explanation of the way you went around the literary festival, and not to be afraid to make it a self-funding event, and then the community will drive that. Is that a lesson that you think is relevant for other of our guests here, this experience that you've learned?
I don't know lessons to learn. It's something which is, either the society is ready for it or not. And UAE in general and Dubai is made of this texture, is made of people, they want something, they pay for it, and people who are really willing. And if you look at cycling, if you look at baseball, if you look at all sorts of sports, which is not really nothing to do with our culture as Arabs or as UAE nationals, but they are played every week. When we build the Sevens, maybe I can talk about it later. When we build the Sevens, it's a sports facility. We built it as Emirates Airline. We built it because at that time there were a lot of development, and they took away the Sevens facility. So we built other facilities, and we built it not only to host the Sevens, to hold the rugby clubs, cricket clubs, and it's to be really for community, not to compete, because there is a sports city which they have excellent facilities, but we needed facilities for the public. And again, we go back to square one. We built this facility, and it's self-sufficient now. Okay, you'll never have return of investment if you want to look at it as a purely business case. But in terms of facility for the community, all what it takes, you go over the weekend to the Sevens, you see every single rugby or cricket are full of families, full of people. So it's very difficult to put a recipe to anybody more than, you have to have everybody on board. And you have to cater to them. Maybe first 2-3 years, the government should support. We get a lot of support now from DTCM. We got a lot of support from Sports Council. Things has changed a lot the last 5-6 years. As an airline, for us, we don't feel anymore like obliged to be in the leader of these areas and all these initiatives, because now there are other government bodies taking care of them and taking care of them very well, and they look after all sort of missing and the gaps and filling them. And that's why you see the swimming world championship. You see Dubai has been, UAE has been hosting I think every 4 years 2 FIFA events, and this is something which Emirates Airline negotiated. When we did negotiate for FIFA World Cup sponsorship, we made sure always there is something for UAE for it, and we negotiated 2 events, and these 2 events has been happening since the start of our sponsorship, and this again helps to put the Dubai and UAE on the map.
Salah, turning to you. Duty-free, Dubai duty-free, not dissimilar to Emirates, has been a key partner in building events, grassroots community, and also the big events, the tennis in particular, I'm thinking. How has that journey evolved?
Well, I must say, first, I think we were the first government entity or corporate government entity to promote Dubai, because we had a mandate back then from Sheikh Mohammed that we should promote Dubai. And then we thought the best medium would be the sport. So although before tennis we started with the first event, it was karate championships, and it was just one-off. And then we started with the 6 to 7 years snooker classic. And then after that, we thought, no, let's think a bigger sport, which gives Dubai and the UAE exposure worldwide and the media-wise. So we thought that tennis would be the most cleanest sport back then. And then every single week in the world, there's like one tournament going on, whether it's an ATP or WTA or other events. So we took it from there all the way. In 1993, when the inception of the first Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championship started, and that was the ATP back then. Today, we started with the 3,000 seating with the scaffolding and temporary, and we stayed after 3 years. We thought about it, we should make it better, and then we're so committed to the sport itself that, and the government behind us, and then we thought we better to expand and make it better. So from the world's number 8 back then, and then Karol Novacek, who was from Czech Republic, who won the first tournament ever, and then until this year, in 2003, we had Djokovic, which still was number 1 in the world. So again, back to the prize money, it was $1 million we started. So we had a lot of importance and a lot of feedback that from the government and from every single entity sports in the UAE and Dubai. Why don't you guys think and bring the women's tennis as well? So in 2001, we thought that's a great time to build. And then in 1996, when we had our stadium, a capacity of 5,000 seating, so we thought it is a great time to bring. But again, in the tennis world, if you know, it's not easy because you have all the tournaments are given and it's allocated to different cities in the world. We wanted something to help the city to develop the country as well. So we came up with the back-to-back, which is ladies WTA first and then ATP, followed by ATP. So in 2001, again, we started with the ladies, $600,000 prize money. And we as a Dubai Duty Free, we like to set standards, and we like trivia and numbers. So we always thought, okay, let us be the first to equalize the prize money, ladies and men. And since we are in the Islamic country, in Arabian, and then the Gulf, nobody thought about that. So we thought we will be the first one as ATP and non-Grand Slam. So in 2005, it was equal prize money, equalized with both. So we brought the from 600 to 1 million. And in 2006, again, we raised both to 1.5 million. So the total, it was $3 million as a prize money. And again, we always had our mandate to bring the top 10 in the world, both men's and the ladies. So that's to attract, again, the worldwide, attracts to the media. And for Dubai, it is not only just to bring the athlete and play. It was just to engage and take the players to the different parts of Dubai, to show them around, to see the airport. And also, we didn't forget that Dubai International Airport back then, we had the mandate to promote Dubai International Airport, promote Dubai, and to take them everywhere else. And then the best thing is for the players to take the best message and to see the best practices in Dubai and to see what's going on in this part of the world and to showcase and to tell the other players what's going on. So really, from the beginning, I would say the first 3 years, yes, we struggled to bring the players because we had a problem of the week, and we were like in week 5. But that was a challenge for us to make it better, and we were so committed and so developed that we want to develop this sports in Dubai and the Emirates and make it bigger. So we changed our week from week 5 to week 8, and now we have ladies in 8 and men's in the 9. So I think it's a great combination with the player. They come from the Aussie Open, from the Grand Slam. There's another Master Series ahead of us, then Dubai. So Dubai today, we really, we are one of the best top 10 in the world. And, we've been winning, I would say, out of 10 years in a row, 9 best tournaments of the year. And these things are done all by the players. It's all conducted by the players themselves, not by anybody else. So, I mean, there must be something that we are offering them that they keep coming back. And then, they always make sure that Dubai is part of their calendar of the year. And in 2005, we've always been doing different things. Dubai, it's known that to show them different things. The first, that when Dubai Duty Free started, we had a slogan, fly by Dubai, to bring people from all over the world, to connect them, and then to come and spend some money in Dubai Duty Free. But then later on, we changed. In 2005, we had the best marketing, I would say, PR and promotion, along with the Jumeirah Group, to take both Agassi and Andre Agassi and Roger Federer on top of the helipad, to just play a tennis match on at the height of 273. And it was very difficult for me to convince both of them to happen. But I think that piece of thing, a PR, that what I got the message the following day, and I think in the following day, most of the TV and media worldwide, they had on the cover page of their publication or TV. And then as per the ATP themselves, they said that part of marketing, it really hit half of the planet. So this is really, I would say, a legacy that we kept behind, and then we never stopped. And then that's what I met His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, and then he said, yes, we've been watching this, so keep it up and keep it happen, different things. So I think these things, it doesn't come just over the night. We really built it up, and we always, Dubai Duty Free, promoted our staff. So everything done in-house, more than 700 staff involved in the whole tournament. I would say it's one of the longest, sporting event in the whole UAE. 2 weeks, back to back, and then a lot of work behind it. And this year, in 2013, we had the over 500 million viewers worldwide. And I would say, even in terms of the TV-wise, more than 3,500 hours of TV broadcasts worldwide. This is what we are all about. And then, and today we're talking now the total both weeks. It's $4 million. We're one of the top, I would say, 500 events, both in ATP and in the ladies. So, these things, it all count, and it all goes, I would say, thanks to the government of Dubai to giving us that sort of, understanding and backing up. Yeah. And of course, we always did a lot of things along with the Emirates Airline and with the Dubai Tourism Board.
But let me read you something that Novak Djokovic, no less, said, which I think sums up what you've been telling us. He said, and this is in the book, I think you all have this, Perfect Host, in your packs. If the cities are going to have the big tournaments, they have to earn it. They have to show that they're really looking to accommodate players in the best possible way, to be player friendly, to be promoting it and doing strong marketing for that tournament. Dubai has been continuously investing in this event. And I think the takeaway from what you've been telling us is, don't be afraid in the early days if it's not perfect, keep investing. And in due course,
absolutely, like someone like you have Roger Federer. He's like, of course, he used to be the legend, was #1, but now I think he dropped to #6. Still, his second home is Dubai. So after every major event, he comes back to Dubai and to practice and to play. I mean, that's a great thing. And a lot of them, they're thinking to move to Dubai already.
No, who can blame them? Well, that's events as we look backwards, but are events still relevant for Dubai as we move forward? Are they to remain a strategic part in the vision as we look to 2020 and beyond? Hilal, I look to you. You've set, or rather have been set for you, some very ambitious targets for tourism. 20 million visitors by 2020 is the weight on your shoulders that you and your team will be looking to achieve. How do events play a part in that?
Well, first of all, of course, when you say weight on our shoulders, I think it's an hour. I have Emirates next to me, so they're obviously going to be carrying these people in. But in terms of events, events play a big part in terms of tourism strategy, not just the events themselves attracting numbers of people to visit, and that is very significant on the business side especially. So in terms of the, if you take all of business travel today in Dubai, at least 40% of it is for business events, and that is very significant and is quite unique to our city here. When it comes to the more consumer-related events, the events themselves are attracting bigger and bigger numbers, but also the events are changing people's perceptions of Dubai. And as you look towards the events and the publicity these events get around the world, they build Dubai's reputation, and they enable people to see what Dubai is all about and what there is to do here. So it goes beyond the sites that much of the world has got used to, of the fantastic architectural buildings and projects that we have here. And the events are allowing our communication to move towards, what people will experience here, and to move towards inspiring people. And as people dream and as people want to travel to places, it definitely gives us a very good avenue to go down.
And the infrastructure that exists here, hotel rooms, transport infrastructure, these are things that already exist and will be developed even further as we look to 2020?
Sure. I mean, as we go across the, from a tourism perspective and from an events perspective, as everybody who knows Dubai and who has traveled here more than once, for those of you visiting, Dubai is always on the move. We are continually developing our infrastructure, both the airports, the airlines, with all the plane orders we've seen over the last weeks, with regards to the road transport, the public transport, with regards to the hotel offering, and also with regards to the other tourism attractions and the event venues as well. So I would see between now and 2020 a lot of expansion on all fronts, and there's going to be tremendous growth.
I think there already exists some 80,000 hotel rooms, which the Right Honourable Tessa Jao was here earlier. I'm sure when even big cities like London were bidding for the Olympics and looking for the number of hotel rooms, to think that Dubai already has a capability like that is pretty unparalleled on a global stage. Boutros, let's talk a bit about the connectivity, because we hear from Hilal that events are central for Dubai's needs, but what does Dubai offer to an event? Why should an event, be it sporting, cultural or other, want to come to Dubai? I guess the fact that this city is so connected, that there are 2 billion people within the 4-hour time zones each way, that can add a lot of media interest. As the VP for Emirates, you're well placed to talk to us a bit about the strength of the connectivity of this city.
Yeah, Emirates now, as we speak, we are the biggest international airline in the world. So we connect anywhere in the world with one stop, which is Dubai, for the time, just today. So by 2020, obviously, Dubai will have been, Emirates Airline will have more destinations, more airplanes, and we will be able to connect more people. So really, for any international event on the size of Expo, Dubai is really the ideal place now to host it. And of course, all infrastructure going to be built and so on, and it has, it's unquestionable. It's something really taken for granted because we exist. We already order an extra 200 aircraft, which is even before they announced the outcome of the Expo, because actually we don't plan only for the Expo 2020, because the challenge is beyond the Expo. So if, and I'm sure all my colleagues here, they will agree with us, when you plan for such an event, whether it's Olympics or Expo or World Cup, you don't plan for the event itself, because the event itself, after 6 months, it's over. So what do you do with the infrastructure? And the challenge which Dubai will have is what's beyond, what do we do with the infrastructure? Of course, all the preparation and all the bidding papers showed that Dubai will benefit from the infrastructure. And I can say these infrastructures are not built for 2021 or 22. They are built for years to come. And if you look historically at expos in the 80s or 1900 or beyond, probably, it will never make money for the organizer, for the city, but it will make money for people who live in the city. And years to come now, it's like if you look at Paris and other areas, so there is really the effect is there. For us, we are planning our network based on the demand we expect, and we buy our aircraft based on the demand expect during and after. And we are very optimistic, and we know so far we've done it right, and I see no reason why we don't do it right for later as well.
Is the actual geographical location important from a time zone perspective? I'm thinking, Sala Boutros, either answer. TV viewership is increasingly a very important factor when events owners, international federations are thinking where to take an event. So from Dubai, you look east and west, within 4 hours time zone in both directions, you capture some 2 billion people across Europe, Asia, Africa. Have you seen a very strong growing trend in viewership figures of your events? Salah,
yeah, well,
tennis?
as I said, Mike, I was with over 500 million viewers, and that you're talking from Alaska to Australia, from South Africa, every part of the world. We make sure that it's covered and everybody's watching live. I would say from the quarterfinals all the way until the final. But we always say from the first ball until the last ball, it's been live everywhere in the world, and that's important. People watch Dubai everywhere, and since the ATP they have changed the rules, so now you can put the host city or the name Dubai on the center court. That by itself, it tells a lot about it, and that makes a difference for a lot of players when they see Dubai. A lot of them, they don't want to come because they think a lot of South American players, they all want to play in the clay, but when they see the Dubai, when they see the city itself, and then when they talk to each other, to the players, and then they see this is what's all about, and then you can't even compare it to any other tournaments in the world. And then plus, as a Dubai duty-free, we are very committed as well. We started from 100 staff until now we're 6,000. And then for the Dubai Expo 2020, we will reach 9,000 staff to really, to work for the Expo. And as my boss was saying, if we get a 19 million, because it's what you heard, 25 million out of 25 million, 19 million, and Sheikh Mohammed said, that will come from the overseas. If you take 50 dirhams from each one, that will be good. Come to Dubai duty free. Of course, we should thank our partners, Emirates, to bring them over again. So again, it will connect them everywhere. Like from the airport, and then why we are different, because we do pay to a lot of details and attention to the players from the time they arrive Dubai International Airport. And I think we're one of the tournaments that we're very lucky that we're less than 5 minutes from the airport, you are to the hotel. And because of the tennis, we built a hotel, which is run by Jumeirah. It's called Jumeirah Creekside. And that's more than, it's 292 rooms. And that's very convenient for the players. That's why they come. And to practice, it's easy. So I think it's all about what you offer to the players to come back, and then for the rest of the year. Even the stadium is not only for the tennis, but around the year there are a lot of events every month takes place. And we are one of the tournaments in the world that we have more than 11 to 12 fine dining restaurants around the year. It's there. And now plus, of course, you have the hotel. And the transportation, it's everything, it's there for the players.
Mr. Moon Dong-hoo, the Vice President of the Pyeongchang bid, he spoke earlier, I think yesterday, about the importance of a clear and unwavering vision and strong government in successive events. Helal, how much do you feel that in what you're doing? How critical is that as you're defining your strategy? The vision, the solidity of the structure here?
I think Boutros mentioned earlier, when it comes to developing the events industry, and especially when it comes to looking at larger and larger scale events, you need a very seamless integration of government and private sector. It is not the case, of course, with conferences like these, because obviously the conference is in a hotel, it's invite only, or there's people who've registered, and it's much easier logistically from a government perspective. But when you're looking at large-scale events, such as the Rugby 7, such as the tennis, such as the Expo we'll be hosting in 2020, or any of the major business events, music events, it requires a coordination and a very, very seamless coordination between the police, between the Road Transport Authority, the municipality, the economic department, Department of Tourism, and all the different government entities need to work together seamlessly to make sure events take place. I mean, there are very small examples, such as, you know, when you have a major event happening, ensuring that the metro service is more frequent during the opening hours and the closing hours of the event, to ensure that the metro service, for example, is extended for a few hours if the event goes late into the night. You know, simple stuff that one maybe doesn't necessarily think of, but you know, these are the things that make the visitor's experience seamless. And we need to, you know, we continually are looking at different ways, and especially with the smart government drive, we're looking at how technology can help us do this. And I think people will be seeing over the next 12 months some big step change in terms of technology and how it's used to make attending events smoother in Dubai.
And people know this is very much a multicultural city, or generally speaking that is known, 200 nationalities, it was mentioned earlier. It's also a very young city in terms of its population, I think some 45% under 30. Is that not necessarily unique, but an important selling point? The depth of young people, do you feel that, Boutros, in some of the events that are hosted here, Hilal? Or are you just like a mix of different age groups? How much is that young audience going to be important looking forward?
As I said earlier, you know, if there is a demand, the supply comes, okay? Probably Dubai has a unique advantage or a unique philosophy. You bring the supply, and the supply creates demand, and that's how Dubai succeeded over the years. So events, you cater for everybody, and you have to cater for everybody, and you have to cater to the youngsters. And the government, the last 10 years, you know, Sheikh Mohammed personally was behind developing youngsters, whether into leaders, whether into sports, whether it's one of his main drive and instruction to his team is to develop youngsters. So of course, events for youngsters are important. They make the events successful. Look at the recent, probably 15 concerts happened, the music festival, you know, from first week it was full, sold out. So Dubai is really, again, the texture of Dubai and the population, although the population is not as big cities, but the power of purchasing within the population is good and very high, and really allows the city to create and introduce very successful events. Now there are some events which you mentioned earlier, sports events, always they get the TV and they got the publicity. Other events probably they are less fortunate in terms of the interest of global and TV viewership. But the local market really, it's now mature enough to make really any event a successful event. And I haven't seen, and I say it was humble, in the last 2-3 years, I haven't seen one event that failed in UAE, in Dubai.
We're going to take questions from the floor in a little minute, because I think then it's time for the coffee break you're probably all looking forward to. Let's just touch on Expo, though, the subject of the week. We know the immediate impact, which is a lot of very happy people around town, a lot of congratulations, adverts as you drive down the Sheikh Zayed Road, enormous feeling probably of relief, Hilal, after all the hard work over 2 years. Tell us about your feeling now, but also about what will be the impact that Expo will bring in the 7 years and then in the hosting in 2020.
I think the experience, I think the last 2 years from the idea of Expo, which was originally, you could say, a secondary thought after we were talking about sports events, to coming all the way through to winning, it was definitely. We are all extremely happy, and our congratulations definitely to His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum for the success in this bid. This bid showed us a number of things. The first thing, it showed us that when we do set our mind on something, the UAE as a whole and the public and private sector can really work together in a very efficient and effective way. I think the efficiency in which we went about developing our files, we did the majority of the work internally. We leveraged all the government entities and private sector to help. Everybody in the city, from the smallest home, if you like, in the UAE, to the largest conglomerate or the largest company, all came on board the bid effort, and that was tremendous to see. The other thing that was very interesting is the reaction of the countries around the world when we spoke to them and when we talked to them about our bid. And you know, the difference with the Expo is that it's not a single sporting event over a short period of time. It is a 6-month, and it is a big commitment of all the governments around the world. And when they looked at our city, and even for those that weren't as familiar with us, of course our friends who we've known and we work with for a long time were very quick to come to our support. But it's very interesting to see how the other cities and the other governments went through their learning process of what is Dubai and how could they benefit from an event like this in Dubai. And you can see, you know, our win was the Secretary General of the BIE. I said to him, so were you surprised by the result? And he said, I wasn't surprised you guys won, but I was surprised you guys won by the highest margin in history. So, you know, we were quite pleased with that. I didn't actually know until he told me that it was the highest margin in history. But I think that, you know, the 2 years went very quickly. Some days it was very slowly, but they went very quickly as you look back. And I think one thing we all say to ourselves, especially when we're in the event industry, is that that was a very quick year. And as we look towards 2020, it's a long way away, but at the same time, it's just around the corner. And I think you know, what's going to happen now is we're going to make sure that you know, we continue with the same approach and the same spirit in which we won the bid. And we're going to continue to make sure that everything is done to deliver a very sustainable project, which is very successful for all the participants. Because we do know what we're doing in Dubai when it comes to business events and when it comes to sports events and public events. And I think that with all the people and all the expertise and all the nationalities we have in the city, we're very excited about this. We do have the opportunity to really create something that works extremely well for all the participating countries. And I think if we do that, we will definitely build our relations internationally as Dubai, and we'll also cement our position as one of as the leading global city. And I feel that you know, as long as we continue with our careful planning and that we continue with our careful execution, we should get there, hopefully without too many late nights like we had during the bid.
They were all worth it though now, of course. Boutros, you touched on this earlier, I think the last question, and then we'll go to the floor, that, I mean, you've lived in Dubai this is your home since a long time. We talked about the history of events that you've delivered with Emirates. But bidding for something so strategically in the future, that has vision, Expo, had the strength, unlike anything you've seen before, to bring everyone together around a common goal and shared aims? Did you feel that strength? How do we capture that moving forward? The working of the public and the private partnership together, it's never been as strong as you felt it for the bid.
Well, I think the momentum is there, and it should capture. But again, as I said earlier, I think the nature of things, the way it happened in Dubai, it was a good example and really very successful. We cannot say a try, because I know in the mind of the rulers has been always there. It has been there. You know, we expats sometimes we underestimate how much the rulers of UAE, how close they are to each other. Since 1971, this country is 42 years. I spent here the last 24 years, and every year I see the sense of pride of being UAE nationals among my colleagues and among people. It's growing and growing and growing. And now after, you know, when you hear His Highness Sheikh Mohammed talking, or when you hear His Highness Sheikh Khalifa or anybody around UAE, you see the click between not the rulers, of course, and the people of UAE, that will make it really easy for anything to succeed, because they all think the same wave. They all have the same interests. They all have, the same objectives. This place is becoming like people are, all the study shows they are the happiest people. You know, all the study shows, living standard is second or third highest in the world. So really, they achieve a miracle. I can say in a small history. If you think 42 years, like I remember 71. It was the beginning of the war in Lebanon. So this is like you see some countries. They went into war, into politics, into issues which is all irrelevant to the happiness of their people, while here they drove everything into the happiness of their people. And that's why, this is unique when you see in UAE, the leaders going into, you see them in spinners, you see them driving their own car, you see them walking on the street, you attend an event, you find 5 ministers, you don't know them, you don't know they are ministers till you get introduced to them. So this is the spirit of UAE, and this is, because you have this, anything can happen here, can work, and it will work smoothly, it will work nicely, and they will deliver what's a promise. And again, I can repeat what Right Honorable Tissa said, don't over-promise, and we never over-promise here, and we always over-deliver. And I'm sure Expo 2020 and other events, they will be always over-delivered.
Let's take a couple of questions from the floor. Our panelists do have to leave immediately after this session, so if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. The lights are very bright, so it's hard to see, but if you put your hand up, I think I can see a question.
Hi, Maki Judia from Dubai Sports City.
Thank you.
I've got a question for the panel, maybe more directed towards Hilal, but the question is, what are the possibilities of other events into the lead-up for Expo 2020? Test events.
So could you repeat that?
Yeah. What are the possibilities of staging other events into the lead-up for Expo 2020?
Well, I think if we look at the different types of events we have, so of course we have the existing events where we're looking at really building on them and ensuring that they grow at a pace which is in line with our aspirations. We look at the new, startup events that are homegrown here and how these could become global events. And also the events that we're bidding for, whether they are business events, whether they are association-led events, or they are sporting events. And I think my colleagues from the Sports Council as well can shed some light on that. But we are continually looking at events to bid for to come to Dubai, and we are, we bid for. I know that I personally have teams every week that are going out and bidding for different types of events. Of course, we win some, we lose some. Generally, we eventually win them. So, even if they don't come here in next year, the year after, sometime in the coming 5 to 7 years, we hope to host them here. So I think the answer to your question is yes, we are continually looking to host major international events, and we will continue to do that as a city.
Is there ever a risk that Dubai becomes crowded with events? You have a Dubai calendar where you try and showcase. There's still capacity?
I mean, we look at the calendar of events very carefully, and I mean, Dubai calendar is something we've used mainly to make the consumer aware of events, but in terms of the, if you like, the back end, where we are looking at the yield of the calendar of Dubai, we work very closely as a government and with the major private sector players to ensure that we do not slot too many things in the same week, because of course there is a lot of disappointment there. And what we could say is, with the growth of venues, with the growth of hotels, with the growth in tourism numbers, there is definitely room for events to grow at much higher than the global average in terms of growth rates going forward. And there is room to continually grow events and to launch new ones.
It's your second question.
Hi there.
To the left.
Charlie Widgeratner, ex-London 2012 and currently advising Baku on its commercial programme. The theme of this conference is emerging host cities. It seems to me that Dubai's already emerged. Presumably there was a brand vision, a brand strategy that was set maybe in the 80s or the 90s or even in 1971. Could you talk to us a little bit bit about how you defined the brand of Dubai and then implemented that as a piece of strategic thinking, and maybe whether you had any advice for other emerging cities thinking about their brands going forward?
So the question is how did the definition of the brand play and maybe in the future play a role in the achievements that have been that we've had. Salah mentioned a very specific example of using tennis on the Burj Al Arab iconic moment, but Hilal Boutros, are there other examples of the definition of the brand? I think that was the question from Charlie.
I think if the question, and I understood it correctly, is how do you develop and execute against a strategy, and how can other people learn from this to become event destinations? I think the first thing you have to look at, which Boutros alluded to earlier, is you have to look at your resident population. I think to build events purely around tourism is a very difficult thing to do, and is not necessarily sustainable. You need to, first of all, and this is what Dubai did, you need to look at which economic sectors are active. You need to look at the types of events and the types of people you have living and what would work for them. Each city is different, and you have a number of cities which are extremely successful in events, and they have slightly different slants to them. If you take Montreal or you take others, they have different types of events which have grown in the city over a large number of years. As Dubai, the government played a role in events, definitely. They played a role by building the facilities. They played a role by trying to help manage the diary, which was a question from earlier, to try to help. I think there is a relationship between all events in my mind. If we look at Dubai, the reason why we're successful in going after something like the Expo is because we have very large exhibitions and conferences already. We're a global player, and we're in the top 3 in many categories. If we didn't have that experience, and we didn't have the experience of holding massive sporting events as well, I think it would be very difficult to go after and to try to host a major event. And even if you won it, you would probably, because the lack of experience across the city, it becomes difficult. So as we embarked on this journey, we looked at how to make sure that the various government entities which had a big role to play, that the people got the experience of being involved in events. We also looked at how we could attract the private sector here to develop and to organize events, because the events industry, I always say this, is the events industry is not like the financial sector. People don't go and to university and do an MBA and decide, I want to work for a top investment bank. People don't. There is not that tract is not as readily available for events. So many people who have developed some of the leading events in the world, it came down to 1 or 2 individuals who had the DNA within themselves to develop fantastic events. And really, as a government, we recognized that early on, and we were lucky enough to attract the right people to the event sector who immediately fell in love with Dubai, or they were from Dubai and they worked in the sector. And whether it be sports or business to business or music, they worked hard, and they had the creativity, and they had, if you like, the business acumen to make these events very successful and also very sustainable. What I would say to anybody looking towards the future is definitely decide where you're going to play. And especially what we learned in the downturn, the global downturn of late, is that only the leaders continue to grow during a downturn. Our events grew through 2008 and 9 and 10 because we were a leader in a very wide geography. And so I think it's very important that people start on their niche, and it's also very important that people look very carefully and very realistic about how much events cost to host, or cost to organize, or cost to develop, because you can expect that once an event is successful for it to be funded by the private sector. But until an event is successful, and especially if you're not already a major event city, you definitely have to subsidize the sector in order to enhance it. And if you look at most event destinations across the world, the government has played a role, whether it's in the grassroots of the universities and the creative industries, or it's further forward in the events themselves. You will find the governments, tourism boards, sports councils, local municipalities, they've all played major roles in this.
Is Emirati culture an element? People talk about the welcoming DNA Emirati going back to the original Bedouin culture. Is that part of this DNA that has made you so key in welcoming events since decades?
I mean, the DNA in the UAE is as Boutros was saying earlier, if you hear any of the rulers of the different emirates speaking, you will hear the same thing. There is a positive energy, there is an attitude across the people that anything is possible. And the young population and the young Emirati workforce, of course, they bring a lot to the table when you're coming to develop events and to look at what is new, what is out there. I mean, you look at any sector in Dubai, and we're on the leading edge. So, and people here, as many of you who work here know, are very ready to give feedback when something isn't up to their standards. And I think that reaction and the use of social media and the use of technology today and the use of our population in terms of making sure we know what we need to change and where we need to improve is how things get better.
Thank you, Hilal. I thought we were done with questions, but I see one more in the corner. Yes, the gentleman sitting with the microphone.
إبراهيم شكر الله من جريدة الإمارات اليوم. من المعروف أن أكبر 3 أحداث في العالم هي دورة الألعاب الأولمبية، مونديال كأس العالم، ومعرض إكسبو الدولي. سؤالي هو ما هو الشيء أو ما هي الأبعاد اللي ممكن إكسبو تقدمه لدبي طريقة الأولمبياد أو كأس العالم ما كانت بتقدمه؟ شكرا.
Question for me,
Do you
clearly.
want to summarize it, Giselle?
Go ahead, please. That would be kind. Summarize the question for those. I don't think everyone has a translation.
So I will translate the question. I think he's saying, there are 3 major events in the world: the World Cup, the Olympics, and the Expo. And what is it specific about the Expo what does the Expo have to offer to Dubai that is distinctive? I will, as I see the audience, I think over 50% is speaking English, so I will answer in English, and then so everybody understands. I think the Expo, there are a number of different things, but the first thing is with the Expo is it lasts 6 months. So you are coming to an event and you are having a large number of people visiting you over a longer period of time. From an economic impact on the city, it's a direct economic impact, cash coming into the city. The second thing is that the Expo is around, and our Expo themes are around extremely important topics for the future. And as you will have the hundreds of participants coming in the countries to, and connecting in Dubai, and they will be talking about themes of sustainability, mobility, economic models for development, bringing minds that are at the forefront of these to the region and showcasing our region to the world will obviously drive foreign direct investment into the wider region, and will also give us the opportunity to showcase the wider region to the world. So I think these things, it does not detract from any of the other events. I think the World Cup is a phenomenal event, and our friends in Qatar, it will be the year after, I think, us. So I think the momentum will continue in the region, and we'll all feel the benefit of both events. The Olympics hasn't come here yet, so I can't really comment on that, and I think you've heard earlier about that. But I do think that these type of international events, they do bring a lot to a city, and we have a lot to look forward to.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for your excellent, insightful contributions this morning. I think it's given everyone some really interesting additional thoughts to Dubai's event strategy going forward to 2020 and beyond. I believe it's coffee break time now. I'm not sure if Ali needs to come up to say a few words. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Thank you. A round of applause.